Welcome on back, everyone. So today, I need some items. I'm pretty much stopped in making any kind of progress because I lack, namely things like diamonds as well as a few mob drops. So, to take care of that second problem, we got a special building right here that I've carved out in this cave. And what I've done is set a center point and then walled off 5 spaces away and then just kind of filled in a bit just to make the room a little bit smaller, because otherwise this would have been really big and a tremendous pain to build certain items that I'm going to be filling the floor with. Now we're going to go with the usual water mill underneath the floor thing, but I brought a few toys, new toys this time around. So we got this here redstone link where you can set a frequency on it by putting items inside one of those two slots, and then any other links that have those same items will receive or send out the same frequency. Now what you're supposed to do, you're not supposed to sneak and right click, you just regular right click. And you need to make sure it has that little like saucer on the antenna. That way it'll receive signals sent out by the other link. And then the next block I have is a clutch. When it receives a redstone signal, it stops sending rotational force to whatever is past it. So now we got the transmitter. We just need to send a redstone signal to it, in this case using a lever. And there we go, we can see the clutch is now engaged. So yeah, now because it's engaged, the windmill bearing, or the bearing, isn't actually turning. And as you can probably surmise from the name Blender, we're going to put some sharp stuff on the bottom. And there we go. Now if I ever need to get inside of there, I can safely turn this off from the outside. And forgot some super glue, because we'll need to pretty much fill the entire floor. It's better than hoping that the enemy will happen to walk over the saws. And to explain the fact that there's space like underneath the walls is because if I don't put saws in there, then as the thing turns, it'll create an open gap and monsters will be able to fall in through there. And in total, I would have had to have made about, I think about 70 or so of these mechanical saws. Would have been way worse if I kept it at its original size. So yeah, there we go. Disregard the very obvious gap in the corner there. That's too small for enemies to fit through. And I also haven't shown it off yet, but I do have a chest that's also down there. Now we just need mobs for the mob blender. So we'll take one of these spawners. Specifically, I want to find that one, the skeleton spawner from the Thornbloom Towers with the skeletons that had like more drops when they got killed. And what's nice is that mage light is able to activate and deactivate. Like, it shines enough light that the spawners won't spawn while it's up there. So if I ever want to get in, I can just cast a mage light at it and not worry about getting jumped. So yeah, looks like that worked out just fine. Now, obviously, there's another problem. How do I get the items that the enemies drop into the chest that's down there? I'm gonna go use a old reliable buddy, the Starbuncle. And there we go. And there is a importer back there, so everything's getting sent straight to the refined storage system. Also, later I throw a filter into that chest. That way, if there's any items that a mob drops that I don't want, I don't have to worry about it going into storage. And no, the Starbuncle does not take any damages from the saws. I think it has something to do with the fact that it doesn't take damage when picking like mage bloom flowers or berry bushes. It just doesn't take damage from those. So we'll just leave them at it. So right now I'm passively generating, well, I say passively, but one tremendous downside is that I have to be nearby for it to work. But hey, free arrows, free bones, not bad. But what if I want different mobs and I can't find their spawner? Well, you combine 2 wool with a stick and you get a cotton swab. Now we're gonna head on back to the windmill. Seems to be significantly less populated this time around. And it's not because I've been doing hit and runs here. I think that this whole waterfall situation here has the pillagers trying to swim up it and then get launched back down into this hole. You can see some blood on the floor there to the left, and it kills them. So 2 things I want to do here. What I just did there was, if you get a witch to half health and use a dispel spell on her, she'll drop these purple shards called Wixie shards. So I want to get a few of those. To make a dispel glyph, you need some like milk, and to make a certain essence, and yada yada. The other thing I want to do with witches though is that I want to get their DNA, and you swab them. Damn it. And just as an aside, I come back later for this brewing stand. It becomes important later on. But before taking off, this here hopper had a diamond and some redstone, so score. Now that we got the cotton swab, we need a few more things. Namely, we need to be able to get experience in a bucket. And the easiest way I think is to make this here experience drain block. To do that, we need to make Eyes of Enders, which needs a blaze powder. Now, way back when I made a sword blueprint, one of the rewards is a blaze rod, and I've been holding on to that ever since. Just to say, I have not actually seen a blaze yet in the Nether. Admittedly, I haven't really explored the fortress too much, but yeah, I haven't really been doing much combat. Now, we can squeeze the blaze rod and get 5 blaze powder. Reminder that you only get 2 if you use a crafting way to get it. So yeah, not bad. And I just heard a pillager somewhere on the roof. Fantastic. That aside, let's go ahead and make these. So what you do, you just hop on top, and it drains your experience. And now we have the bucket of experience. So what we do is we take those 2 things and combine them with a seed, and we get to make a chicken feed. Kind of a waste to use a mage bloom seed on that, but whatever. And as the description so helpfully states, oh hello there, you use it on the chicken, ellipses. Also just want to show off the farm area. I got some major reworks coming, so take a good look at it right now. Now, before using it on my own chickens, I kind of look around, see if maybe there's a wild chicken that's not in the fence. So let's go ahead and breed the ones that I got real quick. I haven't really mentioned what's been going on in here, but again, we'll save that for another time. But I do have it sorting out the produce from its seeds. We'll just breed these two.
Happy birthday, Taco!
Aw, man, well this is awkward. I forgot to bring a present. But alright, now that we got this here spawn egg, that's how you get a spawn egg of any creature, or well, most creatures. And then I grab the other skeleton spawner, the one that doesn't have the fancy skeletons. And then we just use the spawn egg on it. Gotta wait a few seconds. And there we go. Witches on demand. They'll still throw their potions, so don't get too close. And oh god, I didn't think the saws would be able to damage me from one block up. So yeah, don't stand down there. So the reason I'm doing this is because, especially for the witches, mob drops. Witches drop sugar, glowstone, redstone, gunpowder, spider eyes, and bottles, which is great. The one downside to this system is that there are some drops that require being killed by a player, and this won't get that to happen. The only way to trigger that will be for me to personally shoot an arrow, hit him with a sword. Damn witch. Throw potions at them that damage them. So, and there is other stuff. Yes, I do know mob grind utilities, but this is just something fun I want to make. Now, one more thing to make. With my very last Eye of Ender and my very last Ender Pearl is an anti-Enderman teleportation device. Now, I've gone and made myself a Ender spawn egg already. No one inside. So what that does is it keeps Endermen from teleporting. Now you can upgrade these things besides just using spawn eggs on them. If you use sugar, you can dramatically speed up the spawn timer, and I believe the numbers are for like ticks, so the minimum that you can drop it to is 20 ticks. And then there's also the maximum spawn. So just because you drop the minimum way down doesn't guarantee that they spawn hella quick. To decrease the maximum time, you have to, good lord, you have to use clocks on the spawners. And then there's other things like fermented spider eyes will make multiple enemies spawn. You can increase the spawn radius, all that fun stuff. Now here's a slight issue to having this whole rotating ground thing and having a starbuncle. And that is that they will have pathing issues. But let's just check our loot real quick. Already got an Ender Pearl. And it's really good because we're going to take care of that whole issue with the starbuncle. This hopper will absorb items that are dropped near it and put into a container that it's attached to. So you pop it right here, and then you have to click on it and tell it where to drop its items. It can also apparently drop, like take and drop EXP orbs. I guess there's also a way to, oh, this is how you get your charms back, by the way. Rip, little buddy. But yeah, there's things that can apparently make mobs drop their experience orbs when killed, so it's also useful. That would be another way to get liquid experience outside of draining your own. And just as an aside, You can upgrade a spawner with wool to make the mobs that fall from it quiet. That's something I do later. Before I did that, I would set the enemy sound effects to 0, so I didn't have to hear it all the time. So next issue, diamonds. Dramatically short on that. And I think I'm just showing off here that the reason I can't do blaze rod spawning or in the blenders because they require a player kill. But we can make blaze powder using not just blaze powder but also diamonds through the alchemistry system. And as you can see, they require power, so that's why I've been holding off till now. Now the main thing I want here is the compactor, because that is what will let me make diamonds. God, these traders are so annoying. I'm sure you've noticed back in the pen I had a no trader sign. Should move that up into the main base. And I'm somewhat trying to hide my pipes. God, they're so ugly. It's just a shame that you can clearly see the ones behind them. Even if I were to do pipes from underneath, you would then see them through the floor. So now that I got that all set up, what you can do is throw coal or charcoal into a smelter, or in my case the blast furnace, which then generates graphite ingots. You can then crush those to make this here graphite powder, and 16 of them makes a diamond. So in short, if you were to get a full stack of logs, you can burn them all in the charcoal, and then burn all the charcoal in the graphite, crush all of that, and get 4 diamonds out of it. So pretty sweet deal. Especially if you like to cut entire areas of forest down. So yeah, as I'm showing here, I'm also showing you can also dissolve coal directly into the dissolver. The thing is though, is that it is highly inefficient. You get 2 graphite for each coal you make, and then you need to churn, I think, 16 of that graphite into a dust, and then, or was it 4? Basically, you would use up 4 times the amount of coal if you dissolved it, and then use the carbon from there to turn into graphite to then turn into diamonds. It's just way faster to do it by doing charcoal. By turning charcoal into graphite and then smashing that. Now what I'm doing here is making the wicks. You need an emerald, a sapling, a crafting table, and a brewing stand. You may have noticed this thing right on here. You use the charm on the cauldron to summon them, and if you set up pedestals near the cauldron and put an item on the cauldron, the thing that Wixies do is that they auto-craft. And by setting items on a pedestal, that determines what they'll craft. And of course you also need to have a source jar nearby. So I have her set to craft all the different types of alloys. So pretty much I just determine the ratio, like, oh, I need to get 3 full stacks of copper ingots and then 1 stack of zinc, crush them all, and then she'll combine all the dust into the alloy dust. And then the Starbuncle brings it all to be smelted. As an aside, make sure, or at least a lesson I learned, what I do off screen, is use a Dominion rod to select the chest and then select the cauldron. And that'll make it so the Wixie will only craft items from whatever chest you link to the cauldron. I had some issues with her grabbing stuff from the smelting box and then combining them. So yeah, now I got diamonds coming in. We got ender pearls coming in. And we also got auto alloying, which is pretty sweet. Now next up, something I kind of dabbled with, but honestly I would recommend against it. You can throw nether, like netherrack, nether bricks, which is smelted netherrack and things like that, and you get several different items from it. One of them is germanium, as well as sulfur, which can then be used to make the blaze rods, or the blaze powder. I would highly recommend this, honestly. As cool as it is for turning trees into diamonds, I'm not really too hype about alchemistry. Like, it's got the whole periodic table, and it's just, it's way too involved. Like, you don't just get things dissolved from whatever you put in. You can then dissolve those things to further break it down, and it's just, it's too much. A neat thing you can do, though, besides turning logs into diamonds, is you can turn meat, like any kind of food items from farm animals, into protein, and then turn that protein into either different kinds of meat or zombie flesh, if you want a quick way to make a whole bunch of those. And then, yeah, go ahead, throw a hopper, have that all be automated. Not too bad. And another reason why I recommend against trying to do this to get blaze powder is that germanium is a very rare drop. But hey, you can get some gold out of it. In fact, things like stone and cobblestone can come out with different types of ore elements that you can then use. So anyways, yeah, I got over 200 diamonds now. I went on an absolute clear-cutting spree. And look at all that space, oh my god. And as well as all kinds of different upgrades, even though all I'm really using right now is the stack upgrades. But now that we got ender eyes and diamonds coming in, we can finally craft a very useful item here with refined storage. The wireless remote. And then we also need to find a way to charge it, so we'll make the charge pad from mechanism. You just step on it, and it'll charge any rechargeable items in your inventory. Next up, we need to make a transmitter for this. Or a wireless antenna, whatever. Then we just hook this up to that receiver, and now on the go, as long as I'm within 16 blocks, I can access the refined storage and as well as craft from it. And then you'll need to make ranged upgrades, which now that I can pretty much get Ender Eyes on demand, isn't too big of a deal. Just note that it will dramatically increase power usage of your refined storage when you add more range upgrades to it. Now for the next big project here. First, we're going to remove all of the lava here. And then start digging holes right through here. And here we are at the power generator area of the base. Now what I'm going to do here is put down these dripstone blocks, which I found way back at the start in that one area where the amethyst geode was at. Just go ahead and slap those down and then throw the lava back on in. I'll need to eventually fill, all the blocks properly. But for now, those who know about it can probably already guess what I'm doing right now. We'll need to start punching some holes to be able to get access to all 5 of the dripstone blocks. Oh god, no, why? Mistakes were made. Okay. Now that I've properly excavated the area, we'll start throwing down some pointed dripstones underneath those blocks. I tend to go about 3. I also tend to keep making that mistake. So for those who don't know, if you have dripstone and pointed dripstone underneath lava or water, what will happen is that, like, you can notice that there's little particle effects of lava dripping through. So what you can do is, once you have your dripstone set up, is you can grab some cauldrons and then just put them underneath each dripstone. Put them underneath each dripstone. Yeah. And so what this does is, over time, those cauldrons will start to fill up with either water or lava. This would be the only way to make renewable lava in Minecraft, and it works in vanilla. Next up, we just want to get some copper piping from Create. Or I'm sorry, a fluid pipe. Then attach it to each one on the bottom. And then we'll want to connect them. And then we'll also want to make a pump. Now, no, I don't know why I didn't just throw the pipe and connected them, and why I'm doing it this way. Just having an off day, I guess. And there we go. Now we need to get a way to actually... Well, okay, before I do that, we're messing around some more with advanced generators. We're going to put a fluid input valve there, and then throw down some heat exchangers. Gotta say, naming one block heat exchanger and then another one heat exchanger controller. Got kind of confusing for me when I was trying to figure out what I was supposed to be building. Next up, a second fluid intake valve. An item output port. And then a fluid output one. Or not, I guess. Guess I'm just trying to see if there's any lava coming in. It doesn't happen too quick, so don't rely on it. Now, next up, I want to build a motor, which will allow me to make rotational force using electricity. To be able to build that, though, you have to use the create crafters to make them. And they're their own whole thing. You'll need to make some of these rose quartz, which is redstone and quartz, and then smooth them out with some sandpaper. Don't know what happened there. Guess I let go too early. You need to make these tubes and then the crafting tables. At least you get 3 for each one you make, so that's nice. Now, I don't think I've shown off how to make brass casings, but unsurprisingly, it's pretty much exactly like making andesite ones. Strip some logs, slap on some brass. And then there's all the other parts to make here. Brass plates, obviously you throw those underneath the smasher. And we're gonna wanna rejigger the setup I've got here. Honestly, it's gonna be great once I can fully move on to motors. So now I got this set up with all of those different crafters. Just need to get a few more of the ingredients. And yes, it does matter where you have everything set up to make sure you have it all right. God, I don't know why I just did that. Obviously, I need way more copper wire than I bothered to build. And now I need zinc plates. But hey, finally used for all the zinc I've got. 4,000 ingots worth. Really though, if I start moving to motors for, say, the presser right there, at that point I may as well just build a... Oh god. Hey, as a side note, you should probably have this thing turned off while you're futzing about. Just, you know, a friendly tip. Another friendly tip would be to equip your wrench and right-click on the different blocks so that the arrows are pointing in the correct direction. Because if they're not pointing in the correct direction, this happens. Because you want everything to combine together, and then I believe it has to move towards an edge. So let's do this right. Yeah, there we go. God, it's so beautiful. Also, just ignore the fact that I just threw my shield into that crafter and then I forget about it. I think I lost my shield and make a second one. Oh hey, lava's in. So now to finally get this powered, you can alter how fast of a force it takes, and obviously if you use more rotations, it uses up more power. So it's a pretty sweet deal when you know, just having to use more power compared to, say, having to build multiple water mills or windmills to generate faster force. But we don't need anything too fast. And if you use like I'm talking like single digits level of rotational force, it uses up like single digits of power. Honestly, it might be fair to say that it might be a 1-to-1. Don't quote me on that though. So why are we doing this? We saw lava is now going in there. Next up, we just connect some water here, and look at that. It generates obsidian. So now I'm kind of getting automatic obsidian coming in now. Sure, it's not fast, but it's constant. And it's way less tedious than setting up other forms of obsidian generation. And it's also producing steam. Remember last time when I made that syngas thing, when it was turning charcoal into syngas, but it also had to use the charcoal to heat up the unit? Well, now, good thing I didn't throw away all the parts that I wasn't using anymore once I moved to using syngas, because now I can throw that steam into this syngas chamber. And, sorry, to correct myself, when I moved from using syngas to using liquid ethylene. But yeah, so now I can set this up to have the steam go into this syngas creator and get way more out of the carbon I put into it, since it's not having to use that carbon to heat itself up. And yeah, just bear with me, I'm slightly derping out here. For example, throwing down turbines on a syngas producer and not the syngas burner. And I also forgot that I still have parts missing because I'm using them on the other burner. Now, what is nice though about the steam generator is that even once the steam is full, it doesn't stop producing. Like, it doesn't stop producing the obsidian. So that's always nice. And yeah, as we can see here, there's no need to wait for the heating units to heat up. It just automatically starts producing the syngas as long as there's steam and carbon in the system. And this is me realizing my mistake. So now I just need to build another generator, and here we go. This is how the system looks. We got the steam generator going into the syngas producer. I have a starbuncle that's pulling logs from the nearby drawers to throw into this system, and then it feeds all the syngas into another generator, because I may as well make some extra power. I've also set up a drawer system down here for all of the logs that I'm producing, and there's an external storage on the outside so I have access to it all for crafting. And I have the system set up here, so most of the pipes are kind of out of the way. So, more power, constant obsidian, easy diamonds, near limitless supply of ender pearls and arrows, provided I idle near the spawners. Uh, I'll need to fix up that spawn issue later, but that'll require finding wither stars, so that'll be fun. Because that's how you make them spawn without the player needing to be nearby. But yep, I got an idea for this as well, to hold all of the lava. It'll be neat. See you later.